like the Nomos, when they came, they went against the Anarchies, and they said that we're gonna teach these people how to grow food, and we're gonna teach them how the stars move. And Anarchies didn't want that. So based on what you just said about the adult and the drone, so it seemed like the Anarchies wanted them to be drones, while the 200 fallen niggas was trying to make them adults. Now, what's your take on that? Now, because you could say, okay, they was the Anarchy children, and it's like a grown up. It's like a grown up teaching your kids some grown up shit that you don't want to know yet, and you got to step in and say, hey, nah, back off my kids. It's like, hey, so what's your perspective on that? Yeah, go ahead.
I would say, for one, I know we would like to think about it as in good or bad, saying, you know, there was one good side and there was one bad side. But in all actuality, again, when you get this information, you can do whatever you want to do with it. When you get the light, you can do whatever you want to do with it. So whoever these Anunnaki were, all right, when you get into what it means, Anunnaki, saying children of Anu, who came down to what? Ki, Anunnaki. And all we were saying was extraterrestrials. That's when a lot of people get confused. They say, what's the difference between the Anunnaki, the Elohim, the Neteru, even some of the recent ones who coming out now, the Sabians, are saying that ain't the same thing. Listen, if you don't know what and who you're speaking about, then you might as well say Anunnaki. If you don't know what and who you're speaking about by name and by face, if not somebody else would have told you, right? If it weren't for them telling you, you wouldn't know you never met these people, then all you're really saying is people that were not from your planet, okay? Extraterrestrials or overseers. How is it somebody gonna be an overseer that's coming from outer space and then from Earth? You know what I'm saying? So they were saying the Jaru were people who came to the planet, overseers, Neteru, Elohim, Anunnaki, whatever. These were people, okay, or guys or deities, divas, whatever you want to call them, who had their own abilities, their own sciences. All right, I was speaking to one of the brothers in the temples, and I said, don't think that Malachi York came here by himself. He told you in the temple of I Am Hotep, they say, I'm not here by myself. He said, but don't play like you one of us, because we already know who we are. You understand? So the brother started saying, he said, you should know then how to answer certain questions if you're a visitor, right? Now, look, he's only saying that because he was told to say that, right? So he started asking certain questions, saying, what direction do the pyramids go in and all this other stuff. I said, let me ask you a question. Do you think everybody who is in college is going to graduate and do the same thing? Do you think everybody who goes to high school is going to graduate and go to college? Do you think everybody who goes to high school is going to graduate? All right, you have visitors who are physicists. You have visitors who are biologists. You have visitors who are archaeologists. You have visitors who are stewards or guardians of the sacreds or safeguarders. Not everybody is going to have the same job. It's just that some people think that if they get this little piece of information, say, well, then everybody should know the same thing. No, family, you wouldn't know that unless Malachi York told you that. So that was for you. All right? However, we're guarding and looking at and paying attention to the works and making sure that the works continue on. Whether you want to acknowledge somebody as a visitor, that don't mean anything. We'll do the works of a visitor whether or not we were from the earth itself. Are you with me? So when these beings came through with the information, it was like they could do whatever they wanted to do with it. If they're going to use these people as what they refer to as a slave race, all right, then they're going to use them as a slave race. That's where the war between the Lemurians and the Atlanteans took place some 12,500 years ago, where the Atlanteans were saying one thing, the Lemurians were saying one thing. One side was saying, yo, let these people evolve. Let these people learn, these human beings learn their own way and get their own sciences developed and become their own great civilizations. And another side was saying, hell nah, these people are only good for servitude. Okay, let them serve us. We're the guys. We got all the information. We got all the power, right? We got all the technology, all right? We've been here longer than them. They don't know. Let's let these people serve us. And the war took place over that alone. Like even when you go and read the book of Genesis chapter 6, you have to ask yourself, if the God was looking down on the planet and decided that all these beings had become so wicked that he had to destroy everybody, then why he decided to save Noah? But then you're going to realize that that story came from an ancient Sumerian story, right? Where they were speaking about a being called Utnapishtim, all right? Or Utnapishtim. And Utnapishtim was saved by Enki. Enki told him how to get up out and what to do to be able to evade or avoid the destruction. Enlil said, destroy everybody. So maybe Enlil will go down in your stories as an evil person. Why? Because it's a destruction. People think destruction, they think evil. You know what I mean? They think so destroy somebody, they want to destroy everybody. He must be evil. Or you human beings do get too out of control. Because every time somebody sets up a project to try to help you, whether it's religion or whatever, guide you back toward the light, somebody amongst you comes up and say, we don't got to do this, y'all. Let's go back to the darkness, and you follow them. You understand? I know it's the sun cycle, but let's go back and be up under Baphomet. I know it's the sun cycle, but look, remember, we got Sophia over here. Let's listen to her and let her lead us back to the darkness. You know what I'm saying? With Sophia meant Baphomet, if you didn't know that. Okay, if you don't have my books, I explain that in the book, Out of the Darkness. You understand? Which was used by the Atbash cipher. When you break Sophia down with the Atbash cipher, you literally get Baphomet. You understand? So we give you light. These people come out of nowhere. They say, let's go back to the darkness, and you listen to them. Why? You understand? So sometimes human beings got out of control because this is a new creation. So every time somebody tried to step in and help, you know what I'm saying, they got out. So what was the point? And Lil said they was too noisy, which means their frequency was off and destroyed them. So if you look at the world today, was he wrong? When you look at the creation today, was he wrong? Is not this creation out of control? Have we not sent messenger after messenger, Warner after Warner? You know what I'm saying? Messiah after Messiah, and they killed them all. They've imprisoned them all. They turned their back on them. They spit on them. You know what I'm saying? Anybody who decides to take up their cross and walk in the light in broad day as a target amongst all these devils who run this world, all right, the greatest and the lowest of the devils, what do people do? They shit on us. They say they don't need us. We just need to lead ourselves. And then we pass away, and then they want to venerate and try to act like they cared about our presence or us being here. So they were saying this creation wasn't worthy. Now, I'm not saying it's not a worthy creation. What I'm saying is it ain't like they was tripping. Because if you were to behold from an ascended master standpoint, how these people are acting and what they do, the works of human beings is evil. The nature of human beings is unraveling to be evil. You'll wipe it out too and try to take the few that you could, okay, to try to start it over. Now, look at it like this. If you had one God saying, yo, destroy them, and another God saying, let them live, or let this few live and we can save their race. Okay, why did they put it in the book of Genesis as one God? Why did they put it in the book to say he wanted to destroy them, then he saved Noah? Because it was perfect in his generations. You understand? So my point is there were two different groups that had two different deeds and two different works, and at any given time, Enlil could be a destroyer or a builder. And at any given time, Enki could be a destroyer. You want to choose a side so bad. You understand? I know it feels good to. You want to choose a side. You say, I think Enki is the good one, so I'm going to go with them. Because you think they ain't going to blast you to smithereens. He said, I think Enlil is the good one, so I'm going to go with them. Because you think maybe if you do their works, then they won't get, listen, none of you mean anything to them. You understand? If you know who we're speaking about and what we're speaking about, you mean nothing to them unless you're of use. That's going to be a rude awakening for a lot of people. All right? Unless you're of use to them, you mean nothing to them.
Talk to them, baby.
Orientation of beings. Because what do you have? Listen, if you look at your own government, if they were supposed to save any of you from a destruction that was coming, let's say that Kim or what's the fucking name? What's the name? The Putin, whoever. Let's say one of them niggas said, fuck it, tomorrow at 7 p.m. we launching all these nukes. Ain't shit you can do about it. Right? The U.S. ain't gonna go and grab Tommy from down the street or Tyrone, Keisha them. They don't need them unless Tommy or Tyrone or Keisha is a physicist or a quantum physicist or a neurologist, all right, or a neuroscientist, or they need something. You got to give us something. Archaeologist. What do? And if you don't do anything, if you have nothing to offer, then you ain't nothing but dead weight. They say we got to save this doctor. We got to save the people who, when we go to this new world, we can rebuild a civilization. They ain't gonna save people for no fucking reason just because they like you or because you're a black person. Are you with me? So a lot of people think, oh, that's our family. Inky and it was our family. Listen, they don't know who the fuck you are. That's why a lot of people were saying that they would walk up to Jesus and say, yo, didn't I do this in your name? So I never knew you. You ain't never contacted me. I don't know who your family is. Yo, who is this? Who's man's? You get what I'm saying? Because you done spiritualized some shit thinking that just because somebody is an ascended master, that they know everything that's happening on the planet at one time. No, bro, they don't know you. So the point, I mean, I'm not trying to be hard. It's just the reality. So even though people would want it to be a special situation where you calling all these names and thinking that they give a fuck about you, they said they were going to be elect few. And if you ain't a part of that elect few that they decide to save, if they decide to, look at how dangerous this situation is, that people even would want to believe in it without knowing what they're talking about. They don't have to save anybody. Human beings are not a necessity. Go. Watch the movie Planet, the Data Earth Stood Still. And you'll get what I'm saying. They say if the earth dies, everybody dies. All life on it dies. You know what I'm saying? But if the human beings die, what? The earth lives. They don't need human beings here. All right. So if they speaking about God or whoever these beings are who have these powerful weapons, they can decide to save some people, or they can decide to spare some people, or they can decide to destroy everybody, erase it, and start over, replenish it like they've done millions of times over. It's for one, it ain't nothing but an experiment to them, and it might have seemed like a long time for you, but this ain't been nothing but 5 minutes in the works. You know what I mean? It's like you grab a pencil, you write some shit out, and say, fuck, I fucked up the A. And you scratch the shit out. You know what I'm saying? So my point is, it's not like, it doesn't sit on one side, good or evil. All right? They got some people who think human beings are a waste of space. You got some people who look at you and say you're going to be much greater. Go read Al-Quran. Iblis was like, fuck that. These niggas is worthless. And Allah said, I know what you don't know about these beings. All right? So you got some who believe in you, some who don't. Okay? The question is, do you believe in yourselves? All right? Because in order for you to be worthy of being gods or adepts, like they show you the man who fell to earth, are you going to take into consideration the condition of your own world? Because that adept, okay, cared about what was happening in his world. So much so that he was willing to travel the galaxy to save it. Niggas won't go down to the grocery store to save their household. And put food in their children's belly. You know what I mean? So do you care about yourselves? Do you consider yourselves worthy enough? And if you do, you got to start learning to see each other as a part of a whole. And each and every one of your works have to come together. Now, don't get it misconstrued, because people say, what are you doing, Faze? I thought you was going at like every single body that call themselves a leader, because they're not doing our work. They're doing a different work. And only those who bear the torch will be able to differentiate between the works. You think these people to be doing the works of the magnum opus that will be bringing light to the world, or the greater light. It's very important to remember that it's the greater light, not just light, to the world. But these are Luciferians. And they have no care about the future. They care only about themselves. You get what I'm saying? They're selfish. And that selfishness does not yield a new, stronger world. What you got for me? Let's play.
That brings up another question, man. Because I told people about the Luciferians. They infiltrated. So, because like people say, when they hear about the Order of the Rose title, they're thinking that, oh, it's automatic evil. Because of the Luciferians, they infiltrated everybody's order. And they do evil shit inside of that order, so the whole organization get looked at as bad. But now now breaks my next question. Now, the way these people feel, the useless eaters is one thing they use. Useless eaters, lazy for nothings. They got a whole bunch of terms that they use. Elites. This 1% of guys. Now, seems like to me they thinking from an extraterrestrial standpoint, like you thinking. Okay, so let me ask you this. Okay, so we eat chickens. Chickens probably use what 4% of their brain. That's what they tell you. About 4% of their brain. Humans use, they say 10%, which they actually use more than that, but they'll just say 10% is what they put on record. Now, humans eat chickens. Humans eat chickens.
Right.
Now, these elites that's eating that's eating the children or whatever.
Yep.
Now, why do you think that they look at being that they looking at it from an extraterrestrial standpoint and the 1% as they're just human, or they just food or source or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So why do these people think like that? Why do they think like that? The people that's a part of this order, that's up higher up, that we just I can't say we, because I don't feel like I'm part of that mass. I ain't part of the masses. I ain't part of the masses. I'm telling you. Yeah. Hey, why do they feel like they can think like that? Why do they feel like they can? Humans ain't shit. They just, humans ain't nothing.
Because they right.
Go ahead.
It wouldn't have been possible if they weren't right. You know what I mean? That is, listen, you could be dealing with somebody and say, man, you ain't shit. It don't mean they got to stay like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't got to stay in that state. You say, bro, you don't care about anything. You can change. You can alter. That's what Pop said. You got to learn how to care. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You got to learn how to care again. Learn to care. But people don't want to care. They think of it as just something to say, if I'm going through this, I'm going through it. If I got to eat, I got to eat. All right? Which is why you can have movies which are actual representations of life, like Hunger Games.
Right.
That's all this shit is. You starve the people for 3 days, especially of people that haven't come in contact with the science of fasting, okay, and observing fasting or observing the Sabbath or observing what it means to be patient and kind and to have love and to think beyond just what your carnal desire is or your primitive nature is. Please, you take food off the, remember what happened with the tissue? They couldn't wipe their ass, which, I mean, when it's coming to hygiene, that's a good thing, I guess. But the point is, people think lack and they start turning into animals. You understand? They think for a second they can't have something, and their brain, it's really, a lot of it isn't their fault. Okay, the only fault is they haven't made the decision or the choice. There's a power of choice, okay, which I spoke about in my TED Talk. They haven't activated that power of choice. They activate that choice and they'll decide, wait a minute, I don't have to respond like this just because they say we ain't gonna have food. You know what I mean? Remember through 2020, 2021, 2022 on Clubhouse, when every month there was a new food shortage scare? Remember they had niggas stocking food up every month. They said, y'all better stock food up, here it comes. The next month, y'all better stock food up. Niggas was just grocery shopping. That was like, they were doing what they would have been doing normally. You know what I'm saying? They said, get your non-perishables. All that shit probably been eaten up and everything by now. Just like, what you gonna do? Just leave it there? The point is, right, if people feel like they're gonna lose something, they start turning into the most demonic people. That's why if you look at the end of the world movies, in the times where human beings, where you start figuring out on the precipice of change, you know who people are, right? When people are challenged, that's when you start looking at who they actually are. If you can look at how all these end of the world movies show that when people are challenged or faced with adversity on a grand scale, that's when they become more aggressive. That's when they become more demonic. You see, it's always civil unrest or anarchy, all right, that comes after something like a shutdown, which is why if there was a CME or a solar flare that shut down your transformers and you had another Carrington event from 1859, right? If there was something like that was supposed to happen right now, your world would end, not because of the sun, but because of you. You human beings would end your world. It would not be safe for you to walk your own streets, not because of some ultraviolet rays or some charged particles. No, because of you and your own nature. You understand? The one who you just looked at as your neighbor and your friend. All right, love your neighbor. All right, there will be violations of the commandments all over. Look at the movie Purge. That's 12 hours, not even 24 hours, 12 hours of lawlessness. And look what people will do when they don't feel like they're going to be held accountable, when they don't feel like they have to try to push down that animalistic nature. So think about it. You needed religion because without religion, the streets wouldn't be safe at all. Because it's people's fear of hell that stops them from being a murderer or a rapist or all these other crazy things that people are doing day in and day out, that you have the smaller accounts or these little situations that happen over here and that. It will be more. It will be a lot more of it. So they're right. They're right. And they're right to seal themselves off and look at themselves as higher only because they've taken advantage of the information and the experience of being a human being. And guess what the elite do? That's what you're really saying. It's not necessarily that they have an extraterrestrial point of view. It's that they have an elite point of view. Okay? They've risen up off that cross. They're no longer in the lower worlds. And they haven't been for a very long time. What do the elite do that the commoners don't do? They think about the children. They think about their future. This is what I spoke of in my book, How to Speak Elite. That they make sure that the children go to the same schools, private schools. The children become a part of the same lodge or houses if there are any associated with them. The children donate to the same churches and organizations and attend the same churches and organizations. You know what I'm saying? They make sure everybody is growing together to build whatever their new world is. You won't see it because it happens behind the scenes, the private sector, but they'll be building that private world or that dark world together. You understand? So if they're wrong, prove them wrong. If they're wrong, prove them wrong. What do you think will happen right now, though? If they're wrong, what do you think will happen right now if they did the purge and they said for 12 hours, nobody that commits a crime will be persecuted or tried or any of that? Everything is open season. What do you think will happen in your own neighborhood if they're so wrong?
Often sometimes people ask me, I say every single devil in hell will be crawling out on that joint.
Exactly.
Man, it would be safe nowhere.
Exactly. So they're right, family. It's just that until human beings change the condition that is within themselves, they're not going to be able to change the condition outside of themselves. And the ones who are the overseers who sit, and overseer don't mean good. That's another thing. Elohim don't mean good. Netero don't mean good. Anunnaki don't mean good. You got to stop it. Y'all trying to find other words to replace the word angels. And even angels don't mean good. That's why I tell you in Revelation chapter 12, Satan had angels too. You know what I'm saying? Angel don't mean good. It means good. And good is only based off of the work of the moment where it comes to the one who's emitting and the recipient. You know what I'm saying? Or the receiver.
Right. That's right.
All
Go
right?
into it.
If I can do something good for you, I can hand you some water because you're thirsty. Or I can, what do they call it, flogging? You know what I'm saying? I can pour water on your face and make you choke and sputter. You understand?
Or give you vinegar instead of water, just like they did. Yeah, sure.
Right, but what if I give him, what if I write this down in the scripture and say, and he gave him water?
Yeah,
He said, oh, that was good. But what if I around this nigga,
right.
put it, and he gave him, and give him some water. You know what I mean? You ever watch the movie and they give him some water? You know, somebody walking past, say, oh, that's so kind. This nigga, they're dying. You know what I mean? So it's just the point, you wanted to be good and bad. That's not how this works. It's just light. You know what I mean? God could go evil tomorrow. Don't say I made it up when he said he create peace and evil. You know what I mean? The one who you think God is could be evil tomorrow. I could go evil if I choose. Everybody has the choice to do that. You feel me? So these beings who have way more light and technology and information, what do they owe you if you haven't even proven yourselves worthy? Now they set up orders on the planet to see if certain people could be deemed worthy. You know what I mean? Rosicrucianism is one of those orders that's reminding you about the most ancient of sciences that come from the beings like the Sphinx or Tahuti and all those other things that said it's about building the self up, finding the light inside of you. The kingdom of God is inside, or the kingdom of God is within. The light of the body is the eye. Learning about that light that operates inside of you. What you saying, the Sphinx, you saying Harem, all right, Harem Aket. All right, you say Harem Aket, what does it mean? Heru rises, rise, roses. All right, or you're also saying Horus in the horizon. So if you look at the horizon, you're looking at a cross or a crossroad, and that sun has to come up from that crossroad. All right, that means you have to find that Horus or that sun in you. Why is it important? Because of this Heru in the horizon. Heru isn't always in the horizon. All right, the word Heru or Herat itself means God of the sky. All right, which we have the Anum, Atum, Amun. It's different levels, okay, of what that light will do in reality, which is the sun itself or the greater light itself. So you gotta find that light inside of you, that solar inside of you has to be able to be burning in order for you to identify with the light outside. And then once it burns, this is where you get into where you say the Rosicrucian people think Illuminati, is because Rosie gives you red. You go look up Rosie, you find red. And when you think of a rose, you think red. And you go look at the pictures and images of Jesus Christ, okay, or Jesus Cruz, all right? You can find it there. Heru Cruz, Jesus Cruz, Rosie Cruz, Jesus, Roses, Reeses, Rises, Isis, Isis, it's all the same thing. Zeus, okay? He comes with the red light when he's pointing to the heart. That's a false light. But remember that the image of Jesus Christ was a false image to begin with. You know what I mean? Because it would have never been a Caucasoid. Everybody knows that, should know that. So if they were saying, oh, it doesn't matter, there should have never been an image of Jesus Christ as a Caucasoid. And that would explain to you why Malachi York said that was the image of the beast, because they knew for sure they weren't supposed to put out that fallacy, but they still did it, and they made sure that that light was painted as red. Okay? Which is why I told you the green light is where the center is. Okay? Where the two seas meet. Moses parts the Red Sea. Al-Qadir shows where the green one is and above. Those are two staffs, two scepters, two rods of iron, or conductors, two different conductors with two different oils or illuminated oils. Flip the word oil around and you get Elo. O-I-L, you get Elo. Two different Elos or Elis that come with two different messages. And one is teaching about the science of a certain world, and another is teaching about the science of another world. You understand? That becomes beyond the world that you've been given of the light of illusion. Are you with me? So people have their own choice. If you're supposed to be much greater, then you have to be much greater. If you're supposed to do greater works, then you have to do greater works. Just walking around claiming that you're doing it don't mean anything. What you got for me?
Okay, yeah. So the next tape we're gonna do is how to speak elite, but I got a question on that too. Yeah. I gotta get that tape about how to speak elite because it's a lot of questions I got on that. But I'm gonna yeah. All right. So a chicken, like I say, the chicken from the chicken perspective, they might look at us eating them as bad. We bad guys because we eat them, right? And you know, it's like vice versa with the extraterrestrial. But All right, so let's just say, and this right here going to speaking the glee. Now let's just say that the chicken could speak English,
right?
And if the chicken can say before you have to kill him and pluck him and shit and fry him, he can say, "Hey man, I got wife and kids. Why you want to eat?" Yeah, the chicken can talk and say, "Hey man, I got wife and kids. Why you want to eat me?" You know what I'm saying? He can kind of like touch your heart because he can speak your language. He can speak your language. And would you want to eat a fucking chicken that talk like that after that chicken say, "Hey man, all that shit"? With an average guy still say, "Fuck that, I'm gonna eat you anyway, chicken." You know,
right?
So it's like that chicken can speak their language, and it's like the same thing Master Teacher was doing. We're trying to get us to speak the new Wapu because it ties in to be able to speak these people's language. These some of these extraterrestrials who come here. If we could talk to them and they wouldn't look at us different, they wouldn't look at us lesser like we look at a chicken. If a chicken can speak English and talk to us, I say, damn, I'm not fucking. I'd be scared the fuck out that chicken. Matter of fact, I'd probably take off running and the fucking chicken still talking. Right, I get the hell up out of there. So it's like these extraterrestrials when they come are the elites, the Rosicrucian people that's in the elites that speak this elite language. If we could speak their language, maybe they would look at us different. Should you go in on that? On that perspective?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I say language of the Illuminati, okay? Because the language is dealing with, we go back to the book of Genesis, chapter 11, where they find chapter 11, verse 8 and 9, they speak about the language itself and how because the human beings at that point in time had one language, okay? They were unified in their tongue. They said nothing was impossible for those people, okay? And whoever those beings were wanted to, at that point, confound their tongues and scatter them all abroad, like we spoke about in the classes prior, right? Why would they want to do that? Again, those are guys of confusion. But the point is that language, it doesn't mean that they necessarily spoke English or that they spoke Portuguese or that they spoke Spanish or French. It meant that, look at it like this. There's a language where no matter what language you speak or whatever tongue you come from, you can still understand what's being expressed, okay? And a part of that language is emotion, all right? If you walked in the room and encountered somebody who spoke French only, all right, but they was throwing shit around and stumping niggas into the ground and, you know what I'm saying, breaking shit, you might think he ain't really having a good day. I'm not saying you would, but I'm saying I would think maybe he ain't having a good one. You wouldn't ask him, yo, you having a good day? You would be like, this nigga pissed the fuck off. The same way we walk and see somebody dancing and lolly-dollying around, twirling and shit, you might think that they're having a good day. My point is, that's what's referred to as body language for us, but there's an emotion that's associated with body language, okay? So in that same degree, you can speak of science, okay? Because science doesn't lie. No matter what language people speak, if you were trapped on an island with somebody who spoke Spanish, somebody who spoke French, and you didn't speak any of those languages, you speak English, you know those two people have to eat. They know you have to eat. You understand? You know they have to drink. They know you have to drink. Because they have to drink, they have to eat, or they would have never survived to the point of being trapped on an island with you. You understand? So the science doesn't lie. The science doesn't care about how you feel. All right? You can call it gravity or density. Jump your ass to the moon right now. Say gravity is fake. Okay, whatever the fuck you want to call it because you're using English, whatever word you want to use, so call it's just density. All right, well then density your ass up to the moon. Okay, the phenomenon is still real, silly geese. Okay, so if the phenomenon is still real, it don't matter what you call it. Do you know all the inner workings and outer workings of that phenomenon? Because the one who knows more about the inner and outer workings of it has an advantage over you. Okay, when it comes to the propulsion and the buoyancy and all this other stuff that happens with the density that you're speaking about, whatever it is, if you don't know those sciences, then the person who knows the sciences, they'll be able to survive longer. Okay, not only just survive, thrive, advance to the point where, listen, if a nigga got $30,000, he'll be all right for a year. But for somebody with $30 trillion, they don't even have to have a conversation about anything else for the next 40,000 years. They family, everybody is straight to live and thrive.
Don't leave your gas tank on E. With EarnIn, you can get paid whenever you need. Access
for another 40,000 years. Think about what I'm saying to you. You understand? Where they have access to all these resources. It ain't even about money anymore at that point. You get me? So when you have enough of the information to be able to thrive, it's like the little things that people concern themselves with don't matter. All right? So then you have an advantage because of the science that you possess. That's a language. You understand? Now, again, there are certain tiers to language. You got people that speak English, and you listen to a nigga that's speaking English, you still don't know what the hell the nigga saying. You know that shit? Taking your ass out. Hey, son. He's like, what? There's no way this nigga just said a sentence. But it's 30 niggas standing around, and everybody understand what he said. You the only suburban ass nigga don't know what he said. You feel what I'm saying? And in the same degree, you could come speaking with correct English or have a certain type of vernacular or vocabulary that's extensive, and you walk into a corporate America room and it's a nigga that's from the hood that's walking in, he don't know what none of you are speaking about. You know what I'm saying? He can understand anything you're saying. Okay, well then, y'all both are speaking English, y'all both